Welcome to the PodoTron Network.
You know, it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, your race, religion, whatever. Chances are that the legacy of HBCUs and their graduates affect more than one aspect of your everyday life. HBCUbiquity.
Yeah. Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the new HBCUbiquity podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Joyner Jr., and welcome back to another constructive conversation with the HBCU community. Question, or questions, how many Black-owned banks exist in the United States, and where are they located? Well, most recent figures indicate that we have 21 Black-owned banks in the country, with branches in all 50 states. The first privately owned Black bank, believe it or not, dates back to 1908, when Jesse Benga started the Benga State Bank in Chicago. Today, while Black-owned banks are underrepresented in the overall banking practices and financial assets held by African Americans, they're still very much relevant and continue to prosper. Most states house at least one branch of One United Bank or Liberty Bank and Trust, and Black-owned banks tend to be more numerous and prominent in the northeastern part of the country. And that's where you'll find Industrial Bank, headquartered in Washington, D.C., and the fourth largest Black-owned bank in the country in terms of total assets. For today's episode, I'll be joined by Ms. Jacqueline Boles, Senior Vice President at Industrial and a Bowie State alum. Go Bulldogs! We'll be discussing the history as well as the relevance of Black-owned banks, along with why we should support them, do business with them, and a few other financial tips as we start to plan our way out of the lockdown. So thanks for joining me on today, and I hope that you enjoy the discussion. Welcome to another episode of the new HBCUbiquity podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to the new HBCUbiquity podcast. I'm joined now by the Senior Vice President at Industrial Bank in Washington, D.C., Ms. Jackie Boles. Good afternoon, Ms. Boles. How are you today?
I am wonderful, Mr. Joyner, and yourself?
I'm doing well. It's not bad. It's not bad for a Monday around here.
That's right.
How's everything on U Street?
Well, everything actually at Industrial Bank is different. Our U Street branch currently is closed, but collectively as an organization, we are navigating through this situation. We are fine, and our customers are fine as well.
The U Street branch, is that your main branch?
So our U Street branch was our historic branch. That's
right.
The branch that was opened up in August 20th of 1934. So yes, that is our legendary flagship branch, recently renovated. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
So all business is being conducted, I guess, in the drive-thrus and online, that kind of thing?
Primarily, yes. We have 4 branch locations right now in the South that are operating via drive-thru. That's our Northeast branch, our Oxon Hill branch, Forestville, and Georgia Avenue. The other branches are temporarily closed, for obvious reasons.
What's it like out there in Washington, D.C. right now? Because I know it's like almost cherry blossom time.
It is cherry blossom time, but honestly, Mr. Joyner, it is eerily different, as is across the nation, across the globe. So again, we're adjusting. We're trying to meet the needs of our customers to the best of our ability. We have a variety of different access choices. So many of our customers are being smart. They're staying home. They're using online banking. Some still continue to use ATM, but mobile banking. And so like I said, we're just trying to navigate to meet our customers' needs the best way we can through alternative access choices.
Well, thanks a lot for joining me this afternoon. As you know, we discussed over email earlier. I wanted to do an episode during these, transformative times about, people, some people are right now, reevaluating their life habits and practices. But now's a good time to educate some and remind others about the importance of Black banking.
Yes.
And so with that said, I guess to put this conversation into context, how many Black banks are there in the United States? And I guess what makes a bank a quote unquote Black bank or Black owned bank?
Mm-hmm. Well, let me just take it back a little bit, just to put it in perspective. In 1994, there were 54 Black banks. Today, there are 23. And so from that, we can see that the number of Black banks that we have serving our communities, which is critical, has drastically declined. What makes a Black bank a Black bank is just that, the ownership. President and CEO, majority shareholders, oftentimes board of directors. And so Industrial Bank has been and will continue to be an African-American owned or Black bank since 1934.
And how, so going back to 1934, can you tell us a little bit of the story as to how and why Industrial Bank came into being?
Absolutely. So as we all know, back in 1934, as we can only imagine, racism, economic injustice, inequality, as it still exists to a degree today, was multiplied then. And so our founder, Jesse H. Mitchell, realized that African Americans and other minorities were able to deposit their funds into the banks that we know today under different names. We can make deposits all day long. But when it came time for us as a community to elevate our standard of living through home ownership, through business entrepreneurship, sending our children to college, other activities that would require lending, we were met with closed doors. And so back in the early 1930s, Jesse H. Mitchell and 9 other businessmen pooled their assets along with the support of the community, a significant portion being the religious-based organizations, the churches, came together and formed what we now know, and which was then Industrial Bank.
During the Depression, this man was able to gather other Black folk to go and start a bank. Wow.
As epic as it sounds, absolutely. He saw the need. He wanted to address those financial deficiencies in our community, and we did it then, and we're continuing to do it 85 years later.
Congratulations on that. And so, Ms. Boles, what would you say is the biggest misconception out there about Black banks today?
Well, there are a few. One, believe it or not, is just the basic financial security, FDIC insurance. Many customers still question, well, is Industrial Bank a FDIC insured bank? Yes, we are. Actually, as unique as it may sound, we are a small community bank that is able to hold multi-million-dollar deposits while still offering FDIC security. And so that's something that sets us apart in the community. Also, too, can they provide all the services that I need? Yes, we are a full and comprehensive financial organization. We offer everything from consumer accounts and consumer loans to business accounts and business loans, mortgages, lines of credit. We offer the entire gamut of products and services that our customers need to meet their needs. And we also offer the technology tools. Now, I will tell you, small community banks in general, because of their smaller asset size, are often forced to use a core processor, which sort of is a black and white kind of a vanilla-y type experience relative to technology that we're able to offer. But Industrial Bank has done a phenomenal job at modifying, at enhancing, and ensuring that we offer the majority of the technology services that are available via other larger banks. We offer the mobility, the mobile banking. We offer text messaging, card valet, where you can set limits on your card and report cards stolen just from a touch on your telephone. So we're doing extraordinarily well relative to market competition to our larger commercial bank peers.
And with that said, I take it that your rates are competitive as well.
Absolutely. So as you know, Mr. Joyner, right now, rates are just, flat line pretty much everywhere. But under normal circumstances, Industrial Bank is extremely competitive. And I'm sure you would be able to receive several customer testimonies to the fact that we meet customers where they are. We have a little more flexibility because we're a smaller bank relative to offering competitive interest rates. But yes, we are doing a great job with our community.
So during these, these crazy times of upheaval, is there anything else that you want our audience to know about doing business with Black banks?
There are so many things that I want your listeners to know.
Let's talk about it.
Number one, Industrial Bank, as many other community banks, is a certified CDFI, a Community Development Financial Institution. And what that means, Mr. Joyner, is simply that we reinvest in excess of 60% of our assets back into the communities that we serve. We do that via financial literacy. And let me just stop right there. Okay. In our community, there is a deficiency of financial empowerment, a deficiency in knowledge. And so back in 2012, 2013, our president charged us with creating a curriculum that covers financial topics, everything from Banking 101, the importance of saving and paying yourself first. See, how do you understand and navigate through that credit monster, right? Understanding and managing credit. The importance of home ownership, right? Which is a great way to create wealth and transfer wealth to future generations. Entrepreneurship. And so we have the full gamut of serious topics relative to financial empowerment. And we provide that free of charge, Mr. Joyner, to groups of 10 or more. We just asked for 10 or more. And we are in schools. We are in churches. We partner with other nonprofit organizations. Prior to this specific situation, we were with homeless shelters. Every other Tuesday, a group of us will go into DC jail and teach financial empowerment to citizens that were hopefully on the brink of returning back to our society, because that's another whole topic in itself, making sure that they have the tools to help reduce the rate of recidivism. So Industrial Bank as a CDFI, in addition to the financial literacy, we are maniacally focused on small business empowerment. How do we help small businesses maintain or achieve access to capital? Also to sponsorships. There are a lot of nonprofit organizations that have similar missions and core values that we have. And so our goal is to be able to provide information to support resources in those underserved communities. One other thing that I want to tell you is that we believe in second chances, right? So obviously, if we are making decisions to go into jails, and our president also participates, what bank president do you know?
Wow. Yeah.
That goes into a jail and provides and participates in a financial literacy series? Industrial Bank's president, B. Doyle Mitchell, his sister, Patricia Mitchell, our executive vice president, accompany us in those endeavors. But in addition to that, we believe in second chances, right? And so not only is it about financial literacy, but we also provide what we call, or soon to be called, community accounts. And that is for the unbanked and the underbanked. And a huge portion of members in our communities at large are unbanked or underbanked.
Cash apping, yeah.
Yeah. And so what that means is they are paying money to pay bills. Who wants to pay money to pay bills?
Right.
They're paying money to retrieve access to their capital by using alternative banking systems. We know the liquor stores and the check cashing places. Many of them are going to the car dealerships where they charge them astronomical interest rates. And so that's our soft spot. We are really focused on creating and modifying products and services. And we've done that for many, many, many years that will meet the unique needs of our community members. So that's something else that I want your listeners to know.
Wow, you guys are really giving back to the community like that. And I don't really hear of too many other mainstream financial institutions, period, doing things like you just described with churches and jails and that sort of thing. And I'm assuming that this not only is just in DC, but also expands to Maryland and Virginia as well, right?
Absolutely. Well, we don't have any locations in Virginia, not to say that we haven't traveled and visited churches in Virginia, which we have. But I do want to let you know too, Mr. Joyner, I'm not sure if you're aware, but back in November, Industrial Bank actually purchased another African-American owned bank, City National Bank.
Yes.
And so now we have 2 locations in Newark, New Jersey, and proudly another location just a stone throw away from the historic Apollo Theater on 125th Street in Harlem. And so we've expanded our footprint, and we'll look forward to actually, providing those same type of experiences for those communities in the near future.
And congratulations on that. When I was researching for this conversation, I came across that. And I just thought that was a great thing about, keeping the money in the community, so to speak, transferring from one Black business to another Black business.
Right. And you know what? You just said something that's key. Keeping the money in the community. And that's something that we are focused on. So it's, when I think about Industrial Bank, I'm just going to say it's beyond banking. Because we are trying to educate our community on how to enhance the experience, right, in our communities. And let me just give you an example. In the Asian community, the dollar circulates for 28 days. Yeah. In the Jewish community, 19 days. In the white community, 17 days. In the Hispanic community, 7 days. What do you think? And I know you probably know this, but how long do we as an African-American Black community circulate that dollar?
I hope it can be at least 7 days.
6 hours.
Wow. No, I wouldn't have guessed that one. No.
6 hours. And so if we get paid on Friday at 5 o'clock, by 11 o'clock, that dollar is out of our community. And that's one of the things that we have to really, really focus on. And so that ties into the small business commitment, right? So if banks are able to support small businesses do what? They hire people that look like us. Their businesses expand. So we not only affect it financially, but we actually decrease unemployment. And so with that partnership, Mr. Joyner, the people that we see on the streets now have a place to go, right? So we walk different. The men pull the pants up and the ladies button the tops up because they have a job, they have a purpose, they see a vision. And so that's something that I'm so humbled and so thankful to be working for an organization that impacts that. And so we've got to do a better job at supporting not only Black banks, but seeking out those businesses in our community.
This is Thomas Joyner Jr., and you're listening to the new HBCUbiquity. Yeah, I mean, D.C. and Newark are both areas that are historically entrenched in Black business. So if the money's only staying in those communities for 6 hours, then I hate to see what happens when we venture out to, out west, so to speak, the other communities that of color.
You hit it on the head. Absolutely. We've got to do a better job.
Now, for those that don't know, Miss Boles is a proud Bowie State Bulldog. Shout out to Bowie State, by the way.
That's right.
Can you describe what your journey was like from Bowie State to where you are now?
Wow. Well, I'm the class of early 90s. And so I went to school primarily in the evenings because I held a full-time job. I was an assistant manager at a store called Mandy, probably pre-existed you, but it was a women's clothing store. And so I was assistant manager there, taking classes mostly in the evening. And so shortly, I was there for about 7 years. And then my store manager actually went through what's called a MAPS program, a management training program through Bank of America. And she was gone for about 6 months and told me about her experience, showed me her paycheck, and I soon followed. And so I left the retail industry and started with Bank of America, where I went through a management training program. So I've never been a teller or a loan officer. I just went through the management training program and I was placed there. And so I learned banking primarily through Bank of America. I was there for about 7 years, and then I transitioned to SunTrust. And I was there for about 5 years. And ever since then, in 2009, I've been living my dreams because I love working for a community bank. It's a totally different experience. We have a totally different relationship with our community. And so that's what landed me at Industrial Bank in 2009.
And Ms. Boles, I want to pause you there right quick, just to make sure that our listeners understand that for positions like being a senior VP, those tend to only come through if you first started out in a management training program. And those only come through if you're already enrolled in college. Another reason why to enroll in HBCUs or any institution of higher education, so as to go and not to work your way up from the ground level, but at least to get a good head start like you did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will tell you, education is so critically important, but also too, it is an intense drive to want to succeed. Yeah. It's about attitude. Attitude is everything. It's about going above and beyond. So your job description or what you are hired to do is just the guideline, right? And so at the end of the day, I think that no matter what organization or what company you're working for, if those individuals that are in management positions witness you and witness your attitude and witness your drive for results and witness you wanting to learn, that hunger, right? You've got to be hungry. You have to be people smart. Business etiquette is extremely important. You have to operate at all times as though someone is watching you, because I'll tell you, if we had time for the details of my experience, so much more of it came from business etiquette, going above and beyond, and always operating as somebody were watching you, because when those opportunities come, you're ready to respond. And so it's how you carry yourself, Mr. Joyner, as well.
So besides how you carry yourself, what other advice would you have to students that want to consider a career in banking? Is there a major or other types of qualifications you need to have on, say, your checklist?
Right. So the good thing about community banking, Mr. Joyner, especially industrial bank, is that we're all local, right? And so you don't have to necessarily have a finance interest. We have legal, we have human resources, we have marketing, we have compliance. We have so many different other facets of banking here locally in the DMV area, different than some of the other banks. And so if you're interested in banking, obviously you would want to have some core classes for that, accounting, economics. I actually was a business management, business administration student with minor in economics. And so it's really about focusing on your area of interest. But I'll tell you, so many of the employees at Industrial Bank didn't start out where they are right now. So they may have started out as a teller and now they're in accounting. Or they may have started out as a teller and now they're a branch manager. And so that's one of the things that I love and appreciate, and has also been my experience. I was hired at Industrial Bank as a branch manager. And now I am a senior vice president. I'm the director of retail banking, director of operations, call center, and different things like that. And it's just because of the organization and the flexibility that they have. And we are committed to hiring and promoting people within our organization before looking elsewhere. And so it's about having those core classes, that core degree, but it's about building relationships, being ready for opportunities, showing up. So we're on the campus of Bowie State pretty frequently, actually. We participate, and we actually helped to start out the annual financial literacy session that you all have every year. Mm-hmm. And so we started that. We've been participating for years. We've done financial literacy. I'm still very close to some of our professors. Shout out to Professor Lowry. And so we've had the opportunity to still maintain those relationships. We participate in the Banking Career Day, where we actually receive applications as well. So it's just about showing up to some of those events. Follow us on social media. Follow us on social media, because you will see different events that you can show up to. And oftentimes our HR department is there. Our senior management persons are there, and you just never know who you're going to meet. So I think it's about all those qualifications and setting specific goals.
So besides, financial services, does Industrial Bank offer other kinds of support to HBCUs and their students?
So we actually, I wouldn't say directly to HBCUs, but we do participate in the Summer Youth Employment Program, where we hire individuals, I think it's from the age of 17 to 24. And so obviously students will fall into that category. We have had internships where individuals are able to experience internships in the different departments that I've mentioned. So we do things like that. And then in addition, our biggest relationship with Bowie State is the financial literacy, the financial empowerment access.
Now, y'all do all this with Bowie State, but your historical branch is right around the corner from Howard. You do anything with Howard or UDC?
Oh, absolutely. Now, UDC, we're still tapping on those doors a little bit, but yes, we have a very similar experience with Howard University. Absolutely. The School of Business, Mr. Wells, yes.
Ms. Boles, in closing, what should our audience know about supporting Black banks that you haven't already stated?
Mm-hmm. So remember when I said that we're a CDFI and
yes.
we reinvest 60% of our assets back into the community? That number is directly impacted by the number of customers we have. Because obviously the more customers we have, the more our asset base grows. And one thing I need to be very clear about, Mr. Joyner, is you remember back in 2016 when there was the Bank Black movement.
Yes.
Industrial Bank, along with some of the other top banks in the country, received a lot of love. We received the influx of customers wanting to support the bank. The problem with that was many customers said, oh, you know what? I'm going to open up my $100 or my $25 checking account or my savings account, but I'm still going to utilize ABC Bank as my primary bank and think that they did the job. What people don't realize is that checking accounts are really liabilities for the bank. Deposits are a liability. They help us to lend money, which is good. But if you just park $100 in an account, it's about $14 or $15 to send a check card. It's about $5 to $7 each month to send a statement. So you see where I'm going? Mm-hmm. There are we offer free mobile banking. We offer free mobile banking. And so those expenses exceed the $100 very quickly that customer has parked, i.e. it becomes a liability. So what we need and what all minority banks across the nation need are full, committed, comprehensive financial relationships. Banks make money on loans. So why do you have your mortgage with this company or that company or this company that you know nothing about, that you don't know what they contribute to your community? I just told you about our president going into jails and all the things that we do. Refinance your mortgage with Industrial Bank or your local minority bank, right? Bring your full relationship, your checking account, your savings account, and everyone should have a savings account because remember how critical it is to pay yourself first. So all your account relationship to those banks so that they then can can literally grow their asset base and have a bigger impact. They can provide more small business loans so that our small businesses can grow, reduce unemployment, help our communities thrive. And so it's just not a small step. You just can't put your foot in the water. You have to jump right in and really, really do your part. If I can say two other things very quickly.
Of course.
I just want to remind our customers that social media is a blessing and a curse. And I think that as a whole, and not only in banking, but in all small businesses, when you find that African-American owned bank or that African-American cleaners or whatever it is, and you have less than a perfect experience, seek out the manager and say, Mr. Joyner, I tried to support your company, but I didn't have an acceptable service experience. Please help me. As opposed to going straight to social media, because that can damage a small business.
Yeah.
So quickly, and you don't realize it. And you may be angry at the time and you just want to vent, but you don't really realize that you're undermining your own.
I'm glad you brought that up. Because bad customer service exists everywhere, but we have a tendency to take it out even more so on Black businesses, or even to that point, small businesses.
Absolutely. And so one thing at Industrial Bank, every one of my branch managers and myself have cell phone access. We respond to emails, cell phone calls, and texts. We're not perfect, but we are going to treat every customer with an optimal level of respect. We're going to be very responsive, and we will clean up the few mistakes that we make. And so that's just a call to action that I wish for all of our community, the way that we treat each other. We've got to be a little more kind. We've got to be a little more understanding. Although our president is very accessible, but most people don't know the name of the president of their bank. Nevertheless, let me speak to the president because I didn't get a good service experience, right? And so we've got to be a little bit more equitable in our communities, and a little bit more supportive and tolerant and patient. The second thing is beyond African-American or community banking, let's do something. Let's go out and find our local minority businesses and spend some money there. Be mindful that we have to pay more for the resources, right, as a community. So prices may be a little bit more. They may be a little bit more. But if you understand the power behind that, it'll help you to digest that a little bit better and be willing. And I'm not saying all of it, but if we take at least 10, 15% of our disposable income and intentionally support an African-owned business, wow. I mean, the results over some time would be extraordinary.
During these last several weeks, especially during the last couple days, there's been so many reports about how this time is affecting, Black folk, both on the health side, on the employment side, on the financial side. This is going to be coming out as people are going to be making, reevaluating their life choices and trying to, find new best practices. So with that said, if they want to talk more or explore more about changing their banking practices, which is going to be happening all over the place, especially with folks trying to get a new job, maintain their payments, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Where can people go? Listeners can go to learn more about why they should, come over to Industrial or to any Black bank for that matter. Where can they go? Where can they go find more information?
Sure. So number one, please visit our website. It's industrial-bank.com. We have a ton of information there relative to products and services. We have COVID updates. We have free financial literacy. And so while we are going to start providing financial literacy virtually as opposed to in person, we have an entire portal of free financial literacy. Like I said, follow us on social media. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. There's something else we're on, and I can't remember. My marketing director will kill me. But we're on all the major. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Twitter.
There you go.
Yes, it's Twitter. Yes.
No, if you say TikTok, I'd be like, oh.
Right. Or you can give us a call. Our telephone number is 202-722-2000.
Well, Ms. Boles, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy Monday to keep it real with us, so to speak, and talk to us about what's really going on with not just Black banks, but Black businesses.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Joyner, for the opportunity. I'm available anytime, and I just pray God's safety over you, our community, and everyone that you love. Thank you so much.
Likewise. And we'll be back with more of the new HBCUbiquity. Yeah. Welcome back to the new HBCUbiquity podcast. Well, I hope that you found today's episode informative. The purpose of this one was, simply put, as we're all reevaluating our financial positions and budget planning once the quarantine ends, I want to talk about ways that we can keep our money, our spending power in the community, and hopefully managed by alums of our schools. Very special thanks to Miss Jackie Boles and Miss Melanie Woodard, Industrial Bank, for clearing their schedules to make this conversation happen. Thanks to Miss Boles for her insight and knowledge. I hope that you found it as helpful as I did. You can go to Google to learn more about Black-owned banks. In the Northeast, as well as in the Deep South, there are several. But take a few minutes to do a little research and then compare their advertised rates, volumes of business, and the cost of services in comparison with some of the bigger name banks in your area. See if any of those bigger banks have any managers or directors that are HBCU alums. Now, why does that matter, you may ask? Well, that alone may give you some insight as to how much value they place on you as a customer, your business, and your community. I'm Thomas Joyner Jr. Thanks for listening today, and please come back on next week for another episode of the new HBCUbiquity podcast. Stay safe, stay productive, and stay healthy. Take care.
Sign up and be a part of the team. Be a PodoTron at PodoTron.com. Thank you for listening to PodoTron.